Well, guys, I got corrupted. So this episode was originally recorded, and sadly, Adobe corrupted the WAV file. So what you're about to hear is basically me rebuilding the episode from the transcript because the original recording is completely unusable. Now, I usually don't go fully scripted, and technically, I'm not. This is the whole transcript from my original recording, which honestly, this episode or that situation that occurred is very fitting considering that the episode was about podcast tools. So, welcome back to the Creator's Log. I'm Carlos, and today we're going to be talking about Riverside versus Descript versus Adobe Podcasts. Originally, this was supposed to be a simple comparison, but after recording my first remote guest episode last week and then losing this solo episode due to the small corruption that happened in Adobe, this became a little bit of something else. This became the reality of most creator tools. Everybody online makes podcasting look effortless. Meanwhile, I'm over here watching Riverside download 1 minute clip for 3 hours while my computer sounds like a jet engine preparing for takeoff because it literally takes all the power within my computer to be able to record an episode. At one point during the weekend, I finished watching a few episodes of SpongeBob, and my magic clip, which was only about 1 minute and 49 seconds, was still downloading. So my experience hasn't exactly been effortless when it comes to Riverside. So we're going to begin with Riverside. My biggest issue with Riverside is that I don't really edit directly through audio. So I haven't had that experience if it's easier than editing through the transcript, which is what I mostly use. And the problem with the Riverside transcript system has been really inconsistent for me. At least whenever there's a sound the AI doesn't recognize, maybe either you laugh or you clear your throat or yawn or whatever sound, it creates little waveform squiggle instead of an actual text. The issue is that those squiggles sometimes contain full-on words that are part of a conversation. So if you're laughing in the background while your guest is talking, Riverside might group that entire section together. Then when you remove silences or clean up the transcript automatically, it cuts out actual dialogues. There's bad cuts that sound it's a horrible editing. And that is what happened to me. I spent almost 3 days editing one episode because the transcript wasn't accurate enough. And if you're working with limited time, that becomes exhausting really fast. I don't have endless hours, to be honest, to sit in front of a computer trying to figure out why a 2 hour recording suddenly sounds choppy. At one point, I had to export the audio into the script just to continue editing. And I started asking myself, why am I paying for one program if I have to finish the work in another one? Now, to be fair, I originally kept Riverside because I wanted to try remote video recording. And I thought maybe the experience would feel smoother compared to the recording audio only episodes. It didn't. It was honestly just as frustrating. The website, at least when I was trying to download the episode before exporting, just constantly kept freezing on me. And look, maybe some people have amazing experiences with Riverside. Maybe your computer was blessed by the podcast gods. I don't know. The app barely responds. They do have a mobile app, and I tried creating the small clips through the app, and it was still not responding. I literally left the phone open for a while, and I come back to it later, and still no magic clip. The magic clip feature, I really wanted to like it because it's a way for us to promote our podcast in social media. But somehow, the funniest thing is that somehow Riverside grabbed footage from an old random project I made months ago, some little AI project, literally some little monster cat travel video, and inserted that into the beginning of my guest episode. Why is there a monster cat in my podcast magic clip? Nobody knows. But somehow Riverside pulled footage from an all random project. And I don't understand why, but it was also a frustration because then I had to edit out the magic clip just to remove those few seconds from the beginning of the video. That was completely deleted from my project. So I don't know why it took it from the videos that were saved in my files in the editing tools and just inserted it there for some reason. So not only did the transcription feel unreliable, because my major problem is the transcription in Riverside, but the AI editing tools also kind of feel a little bit unfinished. And that's my frustration with Riverside overall. It feels like a platform trying to do everything. You have recording, hosting, clipping, AI editing, captions, videos, social media, magic clip. And when you're trying to be everything, sometimes you stop being good at what people actually need. And if you're doing this alone, that can get overwhelming very fast, especially because every platform keeps adding more AI tools every 5 minutes. And I get it. AI as a solo podcaster might be extremely helpful. But sometimes I feel like these companies are adding features nobody asked for instead of improving the actual features that we use. I don't need my podcast editor to do magic tricks. I just need it to work. Now, if Riverside works for you, that's great. Seriously. If you host with them, which is probably the major reason for you to have Riverside and edit with them all in one place, that's convenient. I recommend it if you do all that host, edit, record. Great. But for me personally, the experience has been total headaches. I really wanted to like the platform because I do enjoy a lot of the creators who promote it. I have learned certain things from them when I first started venturing into podcasting. But then I watch their videos and they look completely polished. There's no way this entire workflow happened only inside Riverside. I'm pretty sure there's DaVinci Resolve involved. I'm pretty sure there's Premiere Pro involved. I'm pretty sure there's additional color grading and editing happening elsewhere, and that's fine. Just be completely honest about it because I'm only making an audio podcast and I was struggling. Now, the pricing is Riverside costs about, I would say, $29 a month for the plan that I had. I do have 2 free months after I said that I wanted to cancel my membership because, again, I wasn't really finding it useful for me. It was kind of hindering my process a little bit. But you do get unlimited uploads and tons of features, probably way too many. After 4 months of using it, I honestly don't know if I can justify continuing the subscription, especially because I ended up paying for another editing software just to finish a project that I started with Riverside. Now, moving on to Descript. Descript is much more straightforward. And honestly, if you're not hosting with Riverside already, I would probably recommend trying Descript before Riverside, especially if your workflow is transcription-based editing, because this is where Descript really shines. When I exported my episode into Descript, I suddenly saw every single word appear correctly, every detail, every sentence. And that's important because If your transcript is inaccurate, then everything else becomes inaccurate too, especially your show notes. Why? Because if you're copying a messy transcript into ChatGPT for show notes, you're going to get messy show notes. So your transcription matters. And trust me when I say that, because this is how this episode is being read. The free version of Descript is limited. You only get about an hour monthly and limited AI usage. And every AI tool costs credits. Removing silences, removing ums, enhancing audio, voice tools, all of it costs credits. I upgraded to the paid plan because I needed to upload a 2.5 hour episode last week. The paid version gives you more hours and more AI credits, which honestly is enough for most small podcasts. And the interface feels much cleaner where your projects are, where your edits are. You stay inside the same workflow. And that to me matters, especially when you're editing alone. Now, the script still has problems. Some of the AI tools can get overwhelming. It was cool making my voice sound like it was inside an echo chamber because I wanted to try it in one of the segments. And I was like, damn, can I use this in an actual episode somehow? Maybe someday, because what it did is that it took my entire recording and made it sound like it was inside an echo chamber. So for now, you're still getting regular me, unless I can make myself somehow sound like Brad Pitt with that AI audio. Yeah, so we're still learning. But at least with the script, I feel like I'm learning inside a stable environment. And that's the key difference. I don't feel like I'm fighting the software, at least for now. I am going to link all these softwares below. Go ahead and try them. You can start with free memberships. And if you feel comfortable with whichever one you feel comfortable with, you can go ahead and subscribe. Towards the end, I'm going to give you a more complete advice if you're trying to start with the lowest budget possible. So now to the one I praised for hours during the original recording, Adobe Podcast or Adobe Studio. This one is complicated because Adobe is probably my favorite overall editing experience that I've had since I started podcasting not long ago, about 2 weeks. Actually, my first episode was on Adobe. The software completely betrayed me. And if you listen to previous episodes, you already know my biggest issue with Adobe, the damn recording button. I have now recorded entire sections of episodes without realizing the software wasn't recording twice. And the problem is the start and the stop recording buttons are exactly the same because it is one button. SR, start record, stop recording, is the same button. They start with the same letters. So if you work late nights, you gotta drink some coffee and make sure you're reading the proper thing. So it is very easy to miss. And guess what happened while making the episode about the software recording tools? I forgot to press record. And then on top of that, Adobe betrayed me. It literally decided to humble me in real time. It corrupted the entire recording I created yesterday. The WAV file still technically exists, but words were literally missing. Sentences were skipping. Every other word cuts out. Audio glitches randomly. At first, I thought I was going to be able to save it. I uploaded it to Descript. I tried different exports. I tried cleaning it. Nothing worked. The file itself corrupted. And honestly, that's devastating because the hardest part of the episode was already done. The ideas were there. The structure was there. My personality was there. I had a lot of jokes in that episode that, you know what, you're lost, guys. I was already in the polishing phase, and suddenly the entire thing just fell apart. But despite that, Adobe is still the cleanest editing interface I've used. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's beginner friendly. You upload your recording, you see your transcripts, you edit directly, you add your music, you fade intros, you fade outros. It just made sense for me when I was starting off, which I still am. And that simplicity mattered, especially if you're, again, emphasis, podcasting alone. I like that Adobe doesn't overwhelm me with a million unnecessary tools. Like the AI tools are basically non-existent. The interface stays focused. And honestly, I think that's why I enjoyed using it despite what happened. And it's also important to say that Adobe Studio is beta mode. So you better watch out with your recordings. And yes, I understand that joke sounded way better in my head. But it is also affordable. And you can do the free trial, which is 30-minute episodes, about an hour only upload per day. So you can try that out. Now, if you do have the Premier plan, which is the one that I have, is $8 a month, compared to Descript, which is $25 for the hobbyist, which has the 10-hour recordings and the 400 AI credits. Now, the Adobe one is $8 a month, but you can't upload episodes or videos that are bigger than 1 gigabyte. It's going to ask you to split it. If you do that, you might corrupt or you might damage the recording. So I suggest you try to keep everything under 2 hours. So that is something to keep in mind. If you're starting off, I don't know what kind of podcast you are doing, but if you're doing a 2 hour podcast starting off, congratulations, you have guts. But I suggest try it out, do your trailers with Adobe, try it out. What the reason I like Adobe, and even if I am recording elsewhere, I'm recording today in Descript just in case I get corrupted again. I'm probably still going to move this recording to Adobe because I will put my intro there. Because right now, you guys are hearing me talk. But if you're just hearing me talk, you're not going to realize that I went to Adobe to put in my intro after one of my first sentences and then to place my outro. So I like the little fade in that it does into my welcome message. So that is why I like using Adobe. I haven't been able to learn how to do that in Descript or Riverside. It just kind of made a little bit of a mess when I was trying to. So again, right now I am very green when it comes to this, when it comes to placing audio, etc. So I try to stick with what I know because it also helps me create faster. Get a platform that your transcripts are well transcribed. AI, it is useful, but AI in the wrong software can hinder your process. Just keep that in mind. You need your transcript for a lot of things. Your transcript is basically, I wouldn't say the holy grail, but it is your map. It is your roadmap because from there, you will take that, you will create a block, you will create show notes, you will create whatever you're using it for. And that is very important. So just keep that in mind. Sound, great. You can do very basic sound enhancement with Adobe. You can do better sound enhancement with the script. You can do some good sound enhancement with Riverside. They all have their pros, they all have their cons. But if you're starting off, again, we're here because we're starting. If you're here and you're a professional, you're probably criticizing my podcast. And that's fine. I'm not listening to those criticisms. But if you're listening to this, mostly is because you're starting off. And I'm here to tell you my experience. And I highly recommend to have your own experience, when you go into these programs, keep in mind that some issues may arise. And one thing I've learned through all this is that most creators are figuring things out as they go. I'm learning audio, I'm learning editing, I'm learning workflows, and that's okay. You don't need to have a perfect setup to start podcasting. You just need, like I always say, to start. I love sound design, intros, transitions, and cinematic atmosphere, which is why I've been experimenting with music and little jingles for some of my shows. The Physical Cut, which is one of my main podcasts, I inserted a little jingle towards the end of the episode to introduce a little segment that I'm trying to incorporate in my episodes. So I'm going to link it below so you guys can go ahead and listen to that. And you can also listen to my transitions throughout the show, my intro, my little jingle, and my outro. And I made them using Suno, which is a little AI app that creates original music. Now, if you want to download the songs, you do have to pay for the license. So you have to pay for the program and then you're able to download the songs. I highly suggest download them on WAV file and also download them on MP3 just so you can have both qualities behind that. And the same thing, I recommend downloading all your episodes on both formats, MP3 and waveform. Why? Because you can edit the hell out of waveform and still keep the high quality. MP3, you might lose some of the audio quality. So just be very mindful of that because you're going to have to use the MP3 to upload it to your podcast host. So that is very important to keep in mind. Keep them both as backup. Do all the editing that you need to do with the waveform. Once you do those editing, go ahead and download them again, MP3, waveform. Now, what I was going to say, if you are starting off and you're still looking at that free option, if you're on Buzzsprout for 90 days, if you're on Captivate for 90 days, or if you're on RSS for life, there are certain programs, certain hosting platforms that give you that flexibility to start within 30 to 60 days or 90 days. Some of them are more of a 14-day trial run. I will be speaking on hosting platforms in the next episode because they are obviously very important. That is where you're going to go host your shows. But right now we are starting with recording because no recording, no show. So let's start with this. But if you are trying to start out and you are trying to cut on expenses, try out the 1 hour that Descript gives you. Try out the 30 minutes per day, the 2 episodes of 30 minutes per day that Adobe gives you, because at least you're starting out. You could keep Riverside, I believe, for free for a while, but the AI features are going to be very limited, extremely limited. At least with Adobe, even though it's free, you can still enhance your audio, but it's going to be only enhanced to what Adobe allows you to, which is not much. It also depends on what kind of mic you're using. If you're starting off with a mic that has a good sound quality, you probably don't need to enhance your voice with these editing tools. I don't really edit my audio that much because, again, I'm just trying to get my episodes out there while I learn how to better enhance my mic. I do have the Shure MV7 Plus. So far, the mic has been good, but I also recorded an episode with the DJI-2, which is $61. So those 2 mics gave me different quality, yes, but with the DJI mic, I literally recorded a 15-minute episode. I trimmed it down to 12, but all I did, I uploaded it to Adobe. I just put a little bit of enhancement just to remove the background noise. That's all I did. All it cost me was $8 a month. But if I were doing the free trial, I would still be able to fix my audio a little bit. So again, that is something to keep in mind. Try out these programs for free and try to create your trailers with them, because you will be putting music in your trailers. You will be doing a 1 minute conversation, at least, in your trailers. And you can try out putting the outro as well in your trailers. There's a lot you can do in your trailers that is within a minute long that you can do in Descript, and you still have 99 minutes. Wait, what's an hour? 59 minutes. I'm not good at math, guys, but I know when something is free, it means it doesn't cost money. Now, I want to cut quickly to some questions I've gotten on Instagram. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, go ahead at KRPODLAB. That is KRPODLAB. You will find me there. DM me, send me voicemails, comment on the pictures, and I will respond you. So I got two questions. And one of the questions was if I was trying to get monetized with my podcast. Honestly, yes and no. At the moment, I enabled monetization through RSS.com after hitting the requirements, which is 10 episodes. So you can start monetizing on your episodes. But one of my listeners on Spotify commented on my episode and said that there was too many ads. I usually just listen to my episode once when I put it on Apple Podcasts. And I agree, there was too many ads. So I went into RSS.com and I cut them down. I put a single ad, beginning and end. Can't really control the middle. I don't know how many episodes or how many ads are playing in the middle, but it did ruin the experience. And that is something I don't want, because again, my goal is to bring entertainment and not ruin the entertainment. Actually, one of my favorite podcasts is kind of ruined it for me because there's a lot of ads. And I'm talking about 2 minutes of ads at the beginning. Then the host is talking and it cuts right through him, and more ads, and then more ads at the end. And it's a 30-minute show. And I'm like, okay, I totally get it. I need money. We all need money. But right now, I'm starting off, and it was great to try that. I want to gain listeners, and I want my listeners to have a good experience listening to the podcast. That's why I'm trying to learn as much as I can to bring better quality and not bombard people with ads in my podcast. So that I do appreciate the feedback, because I would not have known that. And again, I want a community. Another question that, and I say that because the other question that I got asked is that if I was creating a network, because this person follows me on the Instagram where I started posting under KRPODLAB, KRPODLAB. I do have my personal Instagram. I have my travel Instagram. And then I have my, I wouldn't say main, but my physical media podcast Instagram, which is the physical cut. I didn't know I want to create a network until some ideas were not fitting into my original podcast, which was to talk about movies and culture in one podcast. As a matter of fact, the physical cut doesn't fit into that, because there's people who collect movies, but those people sometimes don't care about some of the history behind some movies, or they don't care about movies that were made in Spain. They don't care about movies that were made in India or Japan. And I wanted to be able to talk about that. So I said, you know what? I know collectors. I'm a collector myself. I collect books, I collect movies, and I know how some of them kind of feel. Some people that collect physical media don't collect books, and books are physical media. If I start talking about books in my physical media podcast, there's a chance that everybody who collects movies will stop listening. But guess what? It is a physical media podcast. Because of those different ideas that were kind of colliding, I decided to split the podcast. Because right now, if I were to talk about Descript in the physical cut, people will be like, well, what are you talking about? Even though they're podcasters, even though they're YouTubers, they probably don't know Descript, because they just go to CapCut and do all their stuff in CapCut. And that's totally fine. For me, CapCut is like algebra. I do not understand that. But I decided to create the creator's log, as a more as a journal for myself. It's a podcast I didn't really promote besides the KR Pod Lab Instagram. I just posted it there, and that was about it. I didn't necessarily not promote it. It's just I wanted to try out not promoting the episode to see how it would be found. And I gotta say that it has been found. It has found an audience. I posted it on YouTube as an audio video, and it's gotten views. As a matter of fact, one of the most received, the most watched, the most listened episode is the one about Notion. That has the highest view count and the highest download count. I barely promoted it. I just posted it on my Substack. It goes automatically into my YouTube from rss.com. And I promoted it on the RSS community, and it got a few downloads. And then when I saw it started getting traction, I posted it on the Facebook page for podcast promotion. Now, be careful with those pages because you will get a lot of bots. So just be aware of that. So, yes, in a way, I am now trying to create a network. As a matter of fact, just recently, I finished my website where all my shows live, even though I'm still hosting them with rss.com. I created a website for the shows. I will be talking about how I built the website in another episode, but you can go ahead and check out the website at krpodlab.com. That is krpodlab.com. Let me know your thoughts about it. Let me know how it looks. Let me know what I should fix, because I was trying to go for this editorial kind of dark reds and blacks and cinematic experience, and I want to know your feedback. I'm still working on the blog page, but I will try to embed my Substack into it. For example, if I want to create a blog, I might not necessarily go straight into Beamly, which is who I'm hosting with, and write my whole blog there. So I will be posting my blogs on Substack and then embedding them into Bimley. So I will be talking about that in another episode. And I thank you guys so much for listening to me. I thank you so much for the support. Help others find this show. Share it with your friends who are starting out. If you're YouTubing, if you are podcasting alone, you are not alone. Oh God, that sounded, shout out to Michael. You're not alone in this journey. I recommended some other podcaster that are amazing. So if you listen to my last episode, go ahead, follow those two podcasters and support each other. And thank you so much for listening. This has been the Creator's Log. I will see you guys next time.